What the brap is up, everybody? Cody with Two Wheels in a Tent. In today's video, we're going to get into my review of 6,500 miles on the 701 Husqvarna. We'll get into it right after this. As you can see, I have it loaded up with the Moscow motos. Usually how I ride it. Well, as I was saying before, I put about 6,500 miles on the 701 since I took ownership of it in June of 2019. I have taken this baby from Utah to Idaho, into Montana, and back down Idaho on the Idaho BDR with Tim Collins from 40 Times Around. Also took it to Arizona from Utah to meet Tim again for a backcountry discovery route. And those videos I will leave at the end of the video. You can check those out if you haven't already. So what's my thoughts on the 701 Husqvarna? Well, spoiler alert, I love this thing. Absolutely love it. On road, it is very capable. With the Seat Concepts edition, it is pretty darn comfortable. Now, it is not a Harley Cruiser or a BMW Cruiser on the street, but it will handle 75 to 95 pretty darn well. On the road, not bad. That's everybody's fear. Oh, it's not a great on-road bike. Well, with a comfortable seat and some steering modifications, it is great on the street. Awesome round towner. I've actually used it to go to work through my tools in the pannier. I'm an electrician, so save some gas money, have a little fun on the way to work. I've used the bike around town quite a bit. I would say probably 75% of my use has been on-road, unfortunately. But at the backcountry discovery routes in Idaho, off-road, this thing is a beast. And in Arizona, again, off-road, this thing is a beast. I'm not going to go over the specs and all of that. You can find that anywhere. I'm just going to give you my opinion on my 701 Enduro. Why do I love this bike? Well, I can load it up with my camping gear, leave my driveway, and either travel to another state and camp, or take it up to the local canyons and camp. I don't have to haul a bike in a truck all around. Also, why I love this bike, as I was saying, it is fairly comfortable on the road. I had a V-Star 1100 last year, which was really comfortable on the road, but it wasn't doing any off-roading. Myself, I like to off-road more than on-road, so usually I'm taking this thing to get somewhere to off-road. It is very capable off-road. I have had it fully loaded and doing backcountry discovery routes, which are harder than just country fire roads. Not quite as hard as full-on single track. Although this bike, I have seen Johnny do single track on it with no luggage or anything, and he rode it very well. I've had it on, basically four-wheeler track is the most I've had it on, and that was fully loaded. How does it handle with a passenger? Just fine. I can't talk the wife into going like out of state on it, but you know, anywhere within 50 miles or so, it's pretty comfortable for her. We have done that fully loaded and without any luggage. I actually got the wife to go up and do a moto camp with me last year. I have a video for that. I'll put in the card right above. Check that out. We got rained out. That was pretty crazy. Testament to the Moscow moto. Luggage, it kept everything dry. I mean, except for us. In long and short, this thing is perfectly capable on-road and totally capable off-road. I absolutely love this bike. I'm going to get into nitpicking it right now, and then I'll tell you some things that I absolutely love about it. When I first got it, put a lowering link on for the rear because it's pretty tall, and I noticed that above 65-75 miles an hour the handlebars would shake, like scary shake. So you'd have to let off the throttle or change your weighting on the bike to stop it from swaying, which is pretty terrifying at high speeds. Came back and put a Scott stabilizer on it. I don't know if you can see that, it's under the phone right there, and raised the forks up in the triple clamp a little bit, and that seemed to take care of it pretty darn well. Another nitpick, I don't know, this could be user error, but going to and from Arizona, my front tire wore very strangely, and that could be simply due to the fact either I had not enough air or too much air in it. I run the tubeless system in it like I do my dirt bike, mainly because that's how the bike came to me and it's something that I am used to. So with that, there is a rim lock, and it could have been that the front wheel wasn't weighted correctly either. I would like a little bit more fuel on board without extra tanks. When I got the bike, I had 2 side tank fuel things, but the previous rider had broke the right hand side one, so we tried to plasti weld it, and it worked for Idaho and it worked for Arizona, but it had a slow leak in it and it just kind of drove me nuts. So those are off, and now we're down to about 150 miles on a full tank of just how it comes stock. Get about 130 off-road, 150 on-road, and you could probably push that a little bit more, but you know, running out of fuel in the middle of nowhere pretty much sucks. So if you're going to be traveling, camping off your bike, doing adventure rides, going to different states, probably throw in a fuel bottle so that you have a little spare fuel. Another little nitpick, it does not have a fuel gauge. It does have a low fuel light, and I have gone probably 20 miles on the low fuel. I haven't pushed it to see how far you can go. Don't really want to play that game, so that would be maybe my other nitpick. The gauge is very simplistic. You got miles per hour, the time, and miles pretty much. There's no altitude, which would be cool. There's not a huge speedometer. I mean, these things are just, they are what they are, and I'm calling it like I see it. Another little nitpick is the oil change. I changed it at 6,000 miles like recommended. You have 2 oil filters that you have to deal with, as well as some screens. You can reuse the screens if you clean them, which I did and had no problem. But from the perspective of being on a trip, maybe off-road on the trail, could you do an oil change? Yes, you could. It's just a little bit more intense than some other bikes, so keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, from what I've heard, the filters, you probably want to carry some with you, unless there's a KTM or Husqvarna dealership right around where you're going to be changing your oil, then you'd be alright. But I've heard that off-brands that say they will fit just don't work. The screw pattern's different or something. That is just what I have heard. I was fortunate enough to have the correct filters. What do I love about this bike? Well, it's got tons of power. 74 horsepower, I believe. It is got plenty of torque off-road. Like I said, this thing is a boss. It's not quite like riding my 2-stroke 300. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit bulkier, and it's a 4-stroke, obviously. However, this is as close as it gets, I think, to be able to ride on the street to where you want to go and get off-road and kick some ass. I absolutely love it. You can wheelie in pretty much any gear at any time you want to. Plenty of power. fully loaded with a passenger. I had no trouble passing semis. While it is not a Harley or BMW street cruiser, just look at it, it's meant to be off-road. It will handle the road to get you wherever you want to go though. One of the biggest challenges I've had with this thing is finding tires, because I've been going further and further on-road to get off-road, like leaving state. Last trip I think was about 1,000 miles on-road to get there, and 700 or 800 back, plus 500 off-road or somewhere thereabouts. And pretty much tires are done at that point. I like to have 50-50 again, because I like to be off-road, and when I get off-road I like to ride like I'm on a dirt bike. So if you're just going on fire roads or gravel roads, just little trails, you get away with different tires. Just depends on what you're after. If you're looking for an off-road machine that you can still have almost as much fun as you were on your dirt bike, but will still drive around town, get you to work, get you to whatever destination on road, this is an awesome bike. I'm not going to tell you that this is the bike for you, this is the only bike, it's the best bike in the world. To me, it is the best bike in the world right now. For what I do around town and off-roading, I also have a 300 two-stroke that I ride off-road, so that takes care of some of that hunger. But that's when you got a trailer in or truck in, and this one you don't have to. It looks good, it handles good, it's held up good. One thing to keep in mind, off-roading, it comes with a skid plate. I have an aftermarket one on myself, but there are no like bars. Like on my dirt bike there are 2 bars underneath the engine, and that takes some of the brunt if you hit some rocks or go over a log. Pretty much you got your skid plate that protects your engine. So if you're doing log hops or hard enduro, going over big rocks, etc., that sound you're hitting your skid plate and or your engine. It's that I do not love the idea of that. So keep that in mind, protect your engine if you like to get crazy off-road. And sometimes you don't like to get crazy off-road, but you find yourself in interesting predicaments, shall we say. Well, for interesting predicaments, this is one hell of a bike. No joke. Also, when you go out of state, or at least when I go out of state, as soon as I hit a gas station, somebody's coming up to me. Where have you been? Where are you going? How do you like that bike? It's kind of like being a rock star, especially fully loaded with an out-of-state plate, and it's pretty cool. I go adventuring to usually get away from people, but that type of stuff I don't mind. I even met a guy coming home from Idaho that was from Canada, and he rides his bike all over the world, and they follow me on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So if I ever get to Canada, got some friends up there, which is pretty cool. Anyway, my thoughts, 6,500 miles is I absolutely love the way this performs, the way it rides, the way it feels, the way it looks. I love the 701. Take that for what it's worth, but this bike has treated me very well, and we've had some serious fun together. Look forward to much more. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that helps. If you've got any specific questions, just leave them in the comments. I'm happy to answer you back. As always, stay safe and come join the adventure, baby.